It was supposed to be a simple surprise for her sister. She walked into the dealership wearing jeans and a faded baseball tee, comfortable, not flashy. But before she could say a word, the sales manager sneered. "You might be in the wrong place, ma'am. Our used cars are down the street." Everyone laughed. The next day, that same man watched in stunned silence as a $1.2 million custom Phantom rolled to the front door, and out stepped the last person he ever expected to see again. The morning before that jaw-dropping moment, Grace Parker walked into Silverstone Elite Motors, a high-end dealership in Scottsdale, Arizona. She wasn't dressed like the clientele they usually catered to, no heels, no handbag worth more than a mortgage. But that didn't bother Grace. At 37, she had built the Parker Foundation for Children with Neuromuscular Disorders, and despite her considerable wealth, she believed in dressing like the people she served, humble, grounded, authentic. Grace wasn't there for herself. Her sister, Claire, had just beaten breast cancer, and Claire had always dreamed of owning a luxury coupe. Grace wanted to surprise her with something extraordinary, a midnight blue Azure Grand Coupe, priced at just under $300,000. Inside the gleaming showroom, Grace was met by a young man named Ethan, a nervous but polite junior salesman. He began to help her, but was quickly pushed aside by the dealership's smug sales manager, Chad Whitaker, a sharply dressed man who equated wealth with watches and wallets, not character. "Let's not waste time," Chad said, sizing her up with an icy grin. "This model starts at $285,000. Might I recommend our pre-owned inventory?" Grace, ever composed, calmly pointed to the midnight blue coupe on display. "Actually, I'd like to see this one. It's for my sister's birthday." Chad chuckled. "We reserve appointments for serious buyers. But feel free to take a brochure." Seconds later, he was leading a designer-clad couple to the same car, opening its door like it was a throne. Grace didn't argue. She simply thanked Ethan for his kindness and walked out, head high, heart heavy. As she stepped into the sunlight, she pulled out her phone and made one call. Her husband, David Parker, a low-profile but wildly successful clean energy entrepreneur. Back at their quiet estate on the edge of Scottsdale, Grace recounted the humiliation. "It's not about me," she said. "It's about every person who walks into a room and is immediately labeled. I could have bought the whole showroom, but they saw old sneakers instead of my worth." David, calm and calculating, just nodded. "Want me to make a call? I want a lesson, not revenge." A plan began to form. The next morning, as the staff at Silverstone Elite settled in, a rare Rolls Royce Phantom Zenith pulled into the dealership's front lot. It was unmistakable, a custom-painted beauty that shimmered like water beneath the sun. Conversation stopped. The staff stared. A uniformed chauffeur stepped out and opened a rear door. From the car emerged David Parker, tall, silver-haired, dressed in a quiet $10,000 suit. He looked around unimpressed. Chad Whitaker rushed forward like a fox sniffing fresh meat. "Welcome, sir." Chad Whitaker, sales manager. "What can we show you today?" David looked him dead in the eye. "I'm here about the Azure Coupe. The one my wife tried to buy yesterday." A flicker of confusion, then panic, crossed Chad's face. I wasn't aware." "You dismissed her," David interrupted. "Told her she wasn't dressed right. Laughed at her. Suggested used cars." Customers and staff alike turned to listen. Ethan turned pale. The dealership owner, Mr. Sullivan, came out from the back. David laid it all bare. How Grace had been humiliated, how the judgment came not from price tags, but from pride. "I was prepared to buy the Azure," David said, "and a full fleet of vehicles for my company. But now, I don't know if I trust this place with our business." Chad began to stammer. Ethan, shaking, spoke up. She was respectful. I offered to help her, but she was shut down because she didn't fit the image. David turned to him and smiled. Thank you for your honesty. He looked at Mr. Sullivan. We're still considering the Azure, but only if Ethan handles the sale, and only if your staff undergoes unconscious bias training, including your manager here. Mr. Sullivan nodded quickly. Absolutely. Oh, David added. And one more thing, Chad. You'll be volunteering next weekend at the Parker Foundation. You'll be setting up tables and assisting children in adaptive sports. Chad turned ghost white. At the Parker Foundation Gala, Chad moved quietly among guests, dressed in a volunteer polo, helping a 9-year-old girl in a wheelchair with her name tag. The man who once judged others by their outfits now wiped tables and listened to stories from parents whose children had fought tougher battles than he could imagine. Grace walked over, her elegance effortless in a navy gown. How's it going, Chad? He looked up, eyes misty. I deserved a wake-up call, and I needed this more than I realized. You're not the first, Grace said warmly, but I hope you're not the last. As the gala came to a close, David approached Chad and said, About that fleet order. We're ready now. Think you can handle it with Ethan? Chad nodded, overwhelmed. Yes, sir. I'd be honored. Sometimes the people we overlook are the ones we most need to learn from. And sometimes a lesson in humility comes wrapped in a phantom and driven by purpose.